Hello. Waiting on people to get here. There's 4 people here watching me cutting a potato. Isn't that exciting? Cutting a potato. Seven people watching me cut a potato. You guys must lead really boring lives. Oh boy. Well, hello, Shelly Sanders. It's nice of somebody to say hello. Oh, making a spin-off of something that my mom used to make me as a kid, because apparently my grandmother used to make it for my dad. But this is a bit, I don't want to say a bit more fancy. This is still about as white trash as it gets. But it's cheap and it's easy. Hello, Robin Morgan. So as you can see, I have 2 sliced potatoes on my cutting board. Doesn't get much more exciting than that. A little bit lower of a camera angle here. Oh, of course, there's butter in the pan. I tried a lower camera angle here today. I don't know how it's going to work out, but that's where we're at for the day. Guess I could turn it up a little bit. Everything's better with butter. That's fried taters and onions. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, well, I try to stay away for, well, that's the sausage. However, I like it good and crispy. We try to stay away from onions because they don't agree with the missus' stomach. Slap your mama. Tina Poirier sent me. Um, and of course, every time I forget to put it on silent, that was probably a game notification. Forgive me for not being overly talkative today. Again, none of you are overly talkative either. It's been a long time out in the heat today. I'm tired, so I guess it's lucky on the missus' part that I'm actually cooking dinner and I didn't ask her to stop and get a pizza. Because I'm in a stop and get a pizza mood, but neither one of us need that. So cook I shall. Hello, Jennifer Kiowaski. Don't know. Perhaps one of these days she'll show up in one of my live streams and answer that question for you. I haven't seen her in a while because she's going through a phase. However, if you should happen to see this whenever you're ready to come back, let me know, kid. Still debating on cooking a pizza or not. Yeah. You and me both. But cooking is always a pleasure when they eat. Well, that is one thing I don't ever have to worry about from my wife. If I cook it, she will eat it. And generally not complain about it. Yeah. We had breakfast for dinner last night. This is a Johnsonville beef smoked sausage. I'm getting out of this place Wednesday due to insurance reasons. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd like to be getting out of this place that I live in as well, but not much around this area that I can actually afford the whole, $2,500 a month for a two-bedroom house is just not a. I don't know that it isn't that we can't afford it. It's just such a waste of money. Big waste of money. Finally get to cook my own food. Hey, hey. I don't know what I would do. Well, my ass, I know exactly what would happen. My ass would be about 250 pounds if I couldn't cook. I ate out all the time. I would need a new wardrobe. Need a new wardrobe. Low-income apartment in Northern California because the rent is ridiculously high here. What part of Northern California are you in? That's originally where I'm from, is California. California in general, San Jose. Hey, I was born in Santa Rosa, grew up in Eureka, graduated from Carmel High School. My brother, who has a different mother, he grew up in Marin County. So I mean, that's familiar with the whole area. San Jose. What a shithole of a town San Jose is, though, huh? You'd think as shitty as that town is, the rent might be a little bit more affordable. Nope. And on top of the fact that it's a shitty, dirty town, you just about have to be bilingual to live there as well. At least to read the billboards, anyway. Which is not a problem. I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of San Jose. Bay Area in general can, I don't know. I've never had any good experiences in the Bay Area at all. I'm gonna let these potatoes cook for a while till they start to get done, and then add the sausages until they start to get a little bit almost burnt on the edges, and then add the peppers toward the end. The weather here has still been miserably hot. Mid 80s, like 90% humidity. You know, like 84, 85 degrees, and it's cloudy. This is far from a cooking show. I just happen to have, this is a pocket of my evening where, or of my day where I'm not working. I'm not spending time with my wife. I'm not babysitting Ricky. I have this pocket of window when I cook, and when there's something that I haven't cooked, I spend the time here trying to chat. It is far from a cooking show, I will tell you that. Just happens to be some guy standing in his kitchen cooking. But this is literally about the only time during the day where I'm not doing something else and I've got time to, you know, and I apologize that there's nothing else other than these stupid live chats that I do on the channel lately. I'm out of ideas for good content, and the jumping in dumpsters thing just isn't it anymore. Sadly, that's what brought you guys all to me, was jumping in dumpsters. But because California, Susan, what's up, Pro Retro Hunter? 77 degrees here, yeah. Now, the rent is so high out there because it's California, because that state has taxed themselves into fucking oblivion to the point where nobody can afford anything. That everything else is so expensive that rent just goes along with it. Hello, Mary Hellman. It's California in general, man. Even up in Humboldt County, where I grew up, man, you can't buy a starter house for less than about 350 grand. You get down into some of the ghettos, like in Oakland, and I mean, you're looking at a $700,000 two-bedroom house that's got one bathroom, and it's about 650 square feet with bars on the windows, because that's just California in general. Now, it isn't that you got too many damn people there, it's you got too many damn people in one spot. You got about 80% of that state that isn't even populated. You know, don't nobody want to live out in the fucking woods. You know, want to live in a city and have amenities. You know, you get into those cities and it's just, I mean, you got to think about the overall cost of living. You know, the overall cost of living is so high. Yeah, it's all of California. Because, I mean, when you're paying like $2 a gallon on the gas in just tax alone, and it's the same with diesel, and then you regulate the trucks to only do 55 miles an hour, so what a gallon of milk that should be $2.39 here in South Carolina, in Southern California, will end up costing you like $5 for a gallon of milk, you know, $3 for a 99-cent loaf of bread. It's like $14 for a pack of cigarettes. You know, I mean, if you went out and bought a brand new work truck, so you bought a 3/4 ton diesel truck and you tried to register it out there, it probably cost you over $2,000 a year to put tags on the car. So when you take all that into consideration, in order to compensate for all of the taxes that have been put on everything, that have raised the cost of everything, that have raised the minimum wage, everything else, it's a vicious cycle. The more you pay, the more it costs. You know? Which is why those people out there in California are you know, picketing in the streets for a $15 an hour minimum wage, because minimum wage won't cover shit in that state. However, you should probably find something other than a minimum wage job. But and then in the event they raise minimum wage, everything else gets more expensive. It's a cycle that California has taxed itself into. You know? Yeah, public transportation. Yeah. There's public transportation in this area is terrible. There ain't even sidewalks hardly in this area. You go to try to ride your bicycle somewhere, you got to ride out in the middle of the damn highway, you know, which you may or may not die. Then they shouldn't have to pay higher wages. I mean, they shouldn't. You get paid exactly what your marketplace value is worth. There's a reason that I work for myself and I don't work for somebody else, because in the field that I work, $12 an hour is where you max out when you work for somebody else. And, you know, the man who's out there working you charge $65 a man hour for the time that you're out there, so you can meet somewhere in the middle, you know, and do it for yourself. You can make more money cutting grass and blowing leaves than you can working a lot of jobs if you do it for yourself, and the equipment ain't that expensive. Got to take the initiative to go out and do it for yourself. Stop making somebody else money. Make yourself some money. Well, they shouldn't have to. If you take the initiative to go out and be the person who owns the company, you know, take some initiative to go out and do something, then you're the person that can exploit other people's labor. It's basic economics. Well, I can tell you what, Mary, get used to, or I should say, don't get used to the prices that you're paying for anything in the grocery store anymore. Because if minimum wage goes up to $15 an hour, you're going to be having $7 gallons of milk, $4 a dozen eggs. That $15 an hour shit goes into effect. Everything across the board, including your cost of living, is going to go up. Because then what's going to happen is the people who are on, you know, who are making minimum wage, who are on food stamps and rent assistance and TANF and everything else, because they're making $8.75 an hour and they qualify for government assistance, they're then going to make $15 an hour, and their government assistance is going to go away, but then they're going to have to redo that whole system. So they're essentially going to be even broker than they are, and then the state's going to have to raise up the minimum for what it is to you know, the government's going to have to raise up all the limits for what the poverty level is, because now that the $15 an hour is, that's where the poverty level is going to be. It doesn't matter if it's $8.25 an hour or if it's $15 an hour. You're still at the bottom of the tier. And once that happens, you know, then you're $15 an hour on state assistance. You know? Yeah, well, why not, man? Put an ad on Craigslist. Fuckers will call you. Go work 4 hours in a day and make more money than you would working a week for somebody else. You know? If you provide a quality service, people will pay you a quality price. Economics 101. People pay for what they want and what they need. Well, there you go. If you love to do it and you do good work, you know, you might have to start out doing it under the table for a while, but you can work yourself into getting the correct licenses and figuring out what the taxes and stuff are. You know, give yourself 6 or 8 months of working under the table. Granted, I didn't just say that because that's highly illegal, but you know, you can work yourself into being legitimate by doing odd jobs. It doesn't take that much. You know, and until you can develop some sort of a name, take any sort of an odd job that anybody will be willing to pay you for. You know, somebody needs you to clean out something or install a toilet or do other shit until you can get established. You know, go out there and hustle. Bubbles is proof. Bubbles is absolutely proof to the fact that you go out, you work every day, every day, every day. That man has a mental disability and probably makes more money than half the people in this neighborhood, because he goes out there and he grinds and he does any and everything that people want him to do. He's the hardest working guy I've ever met in my life. The absolute hardest working dude I've ever met in my life, and he's about two cans shy of a 6-pack and can't get a driver's license. You know, that guy is fucking determined. He's out there with pushing a lawnmower a mile one way and a mile back, and then riding a bicycle around with a blower, and you know, helping people load moving trucks. And he's always out there. He doesn't even need to look for work. Work finds him. He's hardworking, he's dependable, and he's honest, and that's all you need to be. Hardworking, dependable, and honest. You know? He don't take no shit from nobody. He doesn't expect no pity from anybody. You know, he's one of the most quality individuals I've ever met in my life. I just wish he showered a bit more, because I have a hard time riding in the car with him because he stinks. I see Kitty's reflection. Kitty. Alright, screw you then. Yeah, I know. Ah, damn, potatoes are sticking together. Where quality's defined these days? Yeah, well, understood. There's a whole generation of kids that are growing up younger than he and I. That, you know, technically he and I are on like the very tail end of the millennial scale. There's a whole generation of people growing up that don't know how to do shit. You know, they pay the cable company to hook up their TV because they don't even know how to plug it in, like, or take the initiative, you know, to figure out, hey, it says HDMI, I plug it into HDMI. But yeah, no, there's a whole generation of kids coming up that don't have that. They want the government to give them other people's money. If you want that, go to Russia. See how well it works over there. Where they don't want to do shit, they expect a check for showing up. Absolutely. Some kids these days think they are entitled. Yeah. I'm not entitled to shit other than my opinion. Kitty, you're bumping the camera. Yeah, I know. The only thing I'm entitled to in this world is my opinion. Everything else you gotta work for. Kitty, stop messing with the tripod. Go, get out. Yeah, I don't know that Kitty wants to cook so much as she's looking for a can of cat food that we don't have because I already gave her cans of cat food. Kitty, go. You got food and water. Stay out of the kitchen. You know the rules. Oh, man. I have a fly in my kitchen. Can't wait till it cools off and flies and mosquitoes go away, man. Alright, so see the potatoes are starting to get brown. That's when I add my sausages, because I like my sausages to be good and brown. The weather here today was about 85 and humid. My son won't even take out the trash. No, I can't get little nobody to do shit when she's here either. But like, I will pay you to wash the dishes. I will, no. She won't do nothing. I hear you. Won't turn off the Xbox. Yeah, so humid here today, the mosquitoes are sweating. Well, you know what the solution to not turning off the Xbox is? You go in the room and you take the Xbox. Leave all the cords and controllers so that they can stare at them. And you take the Xbox and you put it in your closet where they can't reach it because they're still only this high. He's 25. Well, it's at that point you give him a swift kick to the ass and tell him get the fuck out of the house. I'm goddamn 25 years old and still freeloading. Nope. Grown ass man. It's hard for me to get off the Xbox too. Well, I see. Shit, right? I fell off the bandwagon with the video games with the PS2, and I wouldn't even have a PS2 if my brother hadn't left it behind when he took off to England 15 years ago. That's the only reason I ever got a Exactly. Do some chores, earn it back. Take a hammer to it. I don't know about that. As expensive as that shit is, you don't want to smash it. Because you're eventually going to have to replace it when the kid figures it out. Kitty, go! That was part of the reason why I stopped even, like, I never even bought the PS2 that I have. I wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for, like I said, for my brother leaving it behind. And I refused to spend the money on it. My house, all the other electronic devices are in the living room. I've got my Nintendo, I've got my Atari, I've got my Sega Genesis, my PS2. They're all hooked up to the TV in the living room, but I can't tell you the last time I played any of them, to be honest with you. I just don't. I'd rather sit and geek out on, like, on the day when I'm sick, I'd rather sit and geek out on original Zelda on 8-bit Nintendo than anything. I've had that game since I was 7 years old. So I've had that game for 29 and a half years now, and I still have never beat the second quest. How sad is that? See, my dad didn't have to kick me out at 16. I already had a job and was helping to support the family at the time. Worked at Boston Market, and then I worked in the sheets department. Davis Clark. Yes, I do. You wouldn't, wait a minute. Davis. That's not Davisaur, is it? It's not Candace's kid Davis in my chat room, is it? I know it, Davis. I don't know his last name, though. But yeah, I am James Island. You live on James Island, Davis? Am I talking to myself over here? Guess so. Unless he's gonna be some other one of them fucking creeps that's gonna show up at my house and knock on my door. Which the next person from YouTube who shows up at my house without permission is gonna get tased. Because I don't take lightly to that shit. This is where my wife sleeps. You know, if it was just me, okay. This is where my wife sleeps. You don't just show up here. Yeah. You think I'm kidding? Next person that shows up from YouTube, I'm gonna hit with that fucking taser. Excuse me. About that taser, because Bubbles told me he wanted to get tased, and then I got it and wussed out. It's getting there. Some of the thinner potatoes are kind of turning into mush, but you know, can't really see it, but it's starting to come together. I've had two that have showed up at my house that have figured out where I live. And I mean, literally, seriously, the next person that shows up, I'm going to tase them. Move that up a little bit. I'm not cutting anything. I cook the green peppers until they're just tender enough. Like, they're not quite raw, but they're not overcooked. I like the peppers to have some body still, a little bit of crunch. Same thing when I do cheesesteaks. It's the last thing that I put in before I stir them around for a minute, put the cheese on it, and cover it. The difference in the texture. You got your sausage, you got your crispy potato or soft, depending on whether it got crunchy. And then you got the bell pepper. And I also put the bell pepper in last because it'll actually keep the potatoes from getting crispy. A band member from Disturbed with my head shaved, right. I remember when Disturbed used to be relevant. I liked their music. Almost got my face pierced because of their lead singer. But that was 15 years ago when I was 21. Without making poor life decisions. I made no shortage of poor life decisions at 21, and I'm surprised that I'm still alive to talk about it. To be quite honest with you. Hmm. Love the potatoes to be really crisp and almost burnt. Absolutely. Well, the problem with the reason you got to stir them is because there's like 2 layers of them, you know. I was supposed to put a whole chicken in the crock pot today, but I didn't feel like breaking down a whole chicken that had spent the day in the crock pot, so this is what I ended up with. I went to the store and got a bag of potatoes on sale for $2, and I got this sausage for $2, and I already had the peppers, so. There's some good music out there, you just gotta find it. They don't play any good music on the radio. I'll give you that. There ain't a damn good song on the radio anymore. You gotta go find it on the internet, much like you guys came and found me on the internet. Alright. You gotta go find it. Gotta go find it. I don't know, once or twice a week I do these. I do them whenever there's something that I make that isn't redundant, so that I'm not making the same thing, because my wife and I are creatures of habit, and we like to eat the same thing on a pretty regular basis. And so anytime I make something different, like this is something I've actually never even made for my wife. We'll have been married 5 years next month, and I've never made this for her. But if I can find that little bit of creative spark to figure out something different, see you later, Shelly. Find something different to make, you know, I will. But the wife should be home soon. Just gonna let this do its thing for a minute. I would highly suggest water flavor packets if you have trouble getting water in you. These things are quite tasty. About $1.29 a box when they're on sale. I just ate breakfast. Work overnights. Yeah. I used to work overnights driving truck. That shit is miserable. Can't ever get no sleep during the day. Well, there you go. Having breakfast for dinner. Yep, we did that last night. Unload trucks and stock at Walmart. That is a hard job that's underappreciated. My mother actually, when I was in high school, did that at Kmart. She did overnights. She worked stationary department. Well, and it's the middle of the night, so the amount of people that you actually have to deal with is limited as well, which helps. I couldn't work at Walmart during the daytime. I'd end up stabbing somebody or... I have a hard enough time going to Walmart during the day. I couldn't imagine spending 8 hours on a day shift at that place. Oh, man. Yeah, all the freaks come out at night. When my mom was doing overnights at Kmart, somebody actually threw a rock through the window of her truck and tried to steal it in the parking lot. The loss prevention guy was watching the cameras and came on the camera over the PA. Somebody's trying to steal her truck. Somebody's trying to steal her truck. And at the time, she had a big, beautiful, brand new 3/4 ton diesel Dodge. See you later, Mary. Well, that's going to about do it. I'm going to turn this off. I'll bring the pan over to show you. But I'm not going to eat until my wife gets home. But anyhow. Yeehaw. Smoked sausages, potatoes, bell peppers. Alright, that's going to about do it for now. Perhaps I'll be here tomorrow. Well, you're showing up just as I'm leaving. I'm trying to Babaliwa. I'm trying to figure out how to enunciate your name there without massacring it. Ah, you're good. No worries. Catch you all on the flip side, as Ricky would say. I'll catch you on the flip. Alright. Fuckers.